Yo, pulled up to the set when I heard that brutal sound of the bass. Start to feel like I'm dreaming, man, should have seen that look on my face. But I'm so low-key, I'm an anonymous G that I left.
Hey guys, good morning, and I'm back. We're gonna finish off this bed frame, and I thought I would pre-drill all of my holes so that I don't need, 6-inch screws. So I'm just gonna countersink them to like an inch deep, and then I'll just put in some 3-inch screws and they should be good, and that should be fairly strong. And then I'll pull up this board and screw in from the bottom, because I think that'll be the strongest way to do it. And then once we're done that, I'll put on some cross braces, and then we'll cut in our 1/2-inch plywood and we'll put it in. So the 1/2-inch plywood won't be screwed in because I'd like to lift it up, stick a board in here and work, replace a fuse if I need to, things like that. Because I'd like to maintain the batteries if I can, so I need access to them. There's no way I can access anything from through any of these holes or anything like that, so we'll have to lift it up. So I think that's good to go.
I'm out here killing the game. How can you claim that we're living the same? Seeing reality being on a similar stage. You're sitting in the crib while I'm singing my name. That flames, whole of the city on lock. The coldest flows and the cream of the crop. We've them bees with a lean and a bomb.
After I drill all my holes, I'm going to remove the bottom frame so that I could put screws in from the opposite side. And then I'm going to secure the bottom frame to the 2x3s that I just cut.
My God.
Once all of the 2x3s were secure, I replaced the bottom frame back to the floor and secured it with screws. Once it was secured, I added the top 2x3 main support for my bed and screwed it down.
Over the edge, feel like I'm floating through the air. The pain I felt is paid for, all is said and done. Oh, I am restricted, fixed upon the web.
Okay, so far so good. We're pretty sturdy actually. So we're gonna put across the beams, probably one here, one here, and that'll support it pretty good because this is pretty strong. Oh, I got some modifying to do on this board here, and then we'll mount it to the back plate, and then we'll start measuring out some other pieces and we'll get them in.
Once I secured the back brace to the bed frame, I went out and measured to make sure that I had the right angle and the right depth to make sure everything was perfectly plumb and square.
Burning the bridge that
And once I was happy with it, I screwed it all in.
I'm here and I'm feeling.
And then from here on out, it was rinse and repeat, measure, cut, and install more bracing.
Now I must conclude, I am conflicted, watching where I step still, hanging in the balance, not the life I want to live, I want to take it all, standing tall, fear outweighed the person you are. Oh, break out, I've got to see, spent all my life holding all of it closely, I played it in a sense, a feel of discontent, I'm finally facing it all, fearless.
Once I had all secured a bunch of the bracing, I wanted to build out the wheel well and finish insulating it. So I started by cutting some 1/4-inch plywood to to the right sizes I need.
Feel me like a Hellcat.
Okay, so now that I got most of this box built out, except for this area, because I haven't pulled out my electronics yet and tested how deep I want this, so I'll figure that out in a few minutes. It doesn't look pretty, but this isn't visible. This is all going to be hidden away. This is just structure. I'm going to block all this stuff off after I go and insulate it, which is what I'm going to go do now. And then I'm going to start cutting out boards and start filling out these gaps. I'm going to start cutting out plywood pieces out for filling this in, and probably fill this in as well. Slide the batteries in, make sure they fit, and then we'll call that part good. Anyways, so in the meantime, I'm going to grab some insulation. I'm going to fill the wheel well, and I'm going to get that all buttoned down, and I'm going to screw all of those pieces in, and then we'll grab the electronics and we'll start mapping things out in my brain.
Once I had double stuffed and single stuffed most of those compartments, I screwed down the 1/4 inch plywood with some 3/4 inch wood screws. Once I was done with the wheel well, I started with my storage box that I wanted to use my camping chair for storage. And then once I was happy with where it was sitting, I screwed it all down. So we got an Amazon package today, and these things came in the mail. These are exciting. These are going to go on the roof, which will keep the ceiling panel up there. So there's another 25. And then I've got to return these guys because they're a little too short. They don't quite grab the threads. Because I wasn't sure how long the T-nuts were. The claw T-mark for the roof panel, so I wasn't sure if those 1/2 inch would be long enough to grab it, but those 3/4 will be perfect. They're almost a little too short, but they will work. So I'm just gonna order another 25. Hopefully 50 will do it. I think I've got 8, 9. So I've got 9 times 4. It's 27. It's 36. So yeah, I should have enough. Yeah, I pulled out my box of goodies, and I'm gonna start laying out where I want everything inside my electronics department so that I can determine how much of this space is going to be external storage or electronics. Now, my major concern was that there's no way I can mount that up there. So
what we're gonna do, I was thinking of mounting it right here, but I want two more of these. One's gonna be a 75-15 and another one's gonna be 100. So okay, so that figures out the solar. So the solar's gonna mount here. Now we've got our heavy duty bus bars right off the bat. That will work just as I anticipated. So we got our negative from the chassis straight to here. We got a negative to the battery. Yep. So I think probably mount somewhere in here. Got the solar disconnect. I'm gonna have to order another one. This chunky boy. This chunky boy. Which is gonna mount right here. Right? Yep. And fuse box. Okay, so I think I've got it mostly figured out. This is going to be mounted on top of a platform that I'm going to build here, which closes off this, which turns it into a box. It should allow me to have one there, and I have another one exactly like it mounted here, like that, and then I'll have a third one mounted up here, like that. So that's the 3 solar controllers that I need. I'm gonna have a wall here where I can mount my battery charger, and I've got my DC to DC charger, which is what this cable's for, and then all of that are my big solar controller, or my chargers. I'll wire them all to the fuse blocks. The fuse blocks get power from here, and that connects to that so that I can disconnect the batteries when they're not being used. And I've got to mount it down here so that it's not too sticking up, because if I mount it here, it's too high. Once I get that mounted to that with a piece of copper, I'll get a 1 gauge cable from there, or a 0 gauge cable from there to there, and that will go to the positive of the batteries. The negative for the shunt goes to the negative of the batteries. The negative goes to there, and then from there we've got 2 negatives. We can go from here to here and here to here, because I've got these negative bus bars here, which allows me to connect everything I need. So the positive will go into the fuse, the negative will go into the negative bus. And same thing goes for not this one, not this one, and not this one, because they all have their own negative connection. They will get their negative connection from this wire, and the heater gets its negative connection straight from the chassis. And then I've got to run a negative from there to the bus bar. So now that I know exactly where everything's gonna go, I'm gonna mount, or I'm gonna figure out how thick this bad boy is, and then I'm gonna add an extra inch so that there's a little bit of, like, it's not sticking up, and if there's any heat, it can dissipate. And I might have to put a fan in there if anything gets too warm. But I'm gonna have vents. I've got some vent covers up there in the van somewhere. So from here on out, the only other electronics I've got that I've got to run up here is a propane gas detector, and then I'm gonna run a permanent cable all the way to the front of my kitchen area, because I'm gonna have my freezer plugged in up there. So I'd like to run a dedicated cable all the way up to the front of my kitchen area, just so I can splice it, cut it, and connect it, and there'll be no 12-volt cigarette lighter plug-in adapter or anything. I ordered a specific cable that I can cut just to plug my freezer in. So when that comes in,
when that's ready, we'll start doing that, because we're not quite ready to do the electronics yet. Although it looks tempting. I would love to just start grabbing the crimpers and plugging things in and plugging batteries in, but I'm gonna put that on hold for another day. We're gonna get some wood done. Maybe it rains and maybe I'll end up sitting in the van one day and just working on the electronics. And then I'll record that and bring you guys along with me when that happens. So that's that. I'm gonna get working on this little cubby hole. I will be right back. Okay, so far I've got it all nice boxed out, framed out, nice and tight. So it's nice and solid. So I'm gonna find a piece of plywood to stick across here, and then we're gonna mount, well, not mounting it today. I'm gonna test to see if the Victron solar controller fits in the area that I want it to, and I think it'll look good. Alright guys, that's it for today. I mounted that plywood that I was mentioning. I'm very satisfied with how things are going. I did figure out a little bit better layout for my electronics, and I'm going to mount my battery charger here instead of over here. Tomorrow we'll get up, we'll mount the plywood up here, and since I have the hardware for the ceiling, I may consider doing that tomorrow. I don't know yet, because I would like to get started with the cabinet as well. Or I might do the kitchen. I don't know yet. We'll just figure it out tomorrow. So if you guys liked what you saw, please like, comment, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Anyways, we'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Peace out, guys.